Hello! Wowee! Yesterday was Mardi Gras. Whew, and I can tell. I am feeling it. Had a Sazerac and so. Today, since I am not feeling it and it is Ash Wednesday, or for some folks, and I don't know, seems like a time to reflect. A time to, well, first say thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I dropped the birds down a full octave so it sounds like a little more prehistoric. That's what you hear in the background. Anyway, thank you for being here, and this video is kind of about what am I doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What have I retained? I mean, I'm making these videos every week, but am I really using what I learn? So I'm going to see what I can remember. I know that I've done a video about switches sending clock dividers to modules. So I am going to connect 16 and 0.5 to one switch, and then I am running that out to a pulse converter, and that switch is going to be CV'd by the Chaos, which I'm going to clock. Excuse me. I am really hungover today. Like, this is not a joke. I do not feel well, and I would like to call into work, but I cannot, so I'm doing this video a little later than normal. And I want to, just a little interjection, I want to clock this Chaos a little bit slower than normal. So I'm going to connect it to 4 instead of, usually I do 16 or the clock, I connect it to the clock. But I think I'm going to do something a little bit slower today. So anyway, also just to note with if I've noticed myself, if I use the Chaos for triggering a switch that is going to send a pulse to a module, I prefer the 1-bit, because the 3-bit and 2-bit, it depends on what you want, but I think that the 1-bit and the 2-bit, or the 1-bits are less dynamic. So spit it out, Sean. The 1-bits are less dynamic, so that they send more signal to the hi-hat, and then like the 3-bit is going to be a little more sporadic because it is so dynamic. So just something I kind of found, that the 1-bits are better for that. Ooh, maybe not this 1-bit this time, because it is slower now. So since I slowed I think that's alright. That's more dynamic. That's how I kind of want it. And then let me bring that down for a second. For the snare, I'm going to send that through. I'm going to do 8 and 1. And I'm going to send that through an attenuator. To the 0.1 capacitor, which I like to use instead of a pulse converter for the snare, because it gives me somewhat of the same effect, basically the same effect as the pulse converter. I like to use it for the snare because the snare can be a little like softer. It doesn't have to be as punchy, and so I'm using the pulse converter for the hi-hat and the bass drum, or the kick drum here. So I'm connecting 4 to a pulse converter for the kick drum, and then I have 8 and 1 running through an attenuator to the 0.1 capacitor for the snare, and I'm going to connect 2 directly to the 0.1 capacitor for the snare, so it's got that constant 2 in there, and I can modify it by throwing this in, so this will sound like, and then if I turn up the attenuator, just kind of puts a little swing on it. Excuse me. So yeah, this is where I'm at right now. Let me see. So got the attenuators, I got the switch that I've used, and I've also talked about sending CV into the bass module through an attenuator from the Chaos. So I will run the Chaos through the attenuator to the CV, and I will use the 3-bit this time because I think the 3-bit is very fun for melodies. And for the trig of the bass, I will just run noise into it, I think. Actually, I'm going to show something real quick. Noise, I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up because I kind of have some white noise behind. Forget it. There is a thing, I ran noise through a 0.1 capacitor, and then I run that through the diode, and then mix in, or through an attenuator to mix in, and to me it sounds like record dust, like when you start a record. And if you want a crispy kind of background white sound, white noise sound, you can do that. So again, that was noise through the 0.1 capacitor, and then through this, I've been calling it a resistor, but they call it a diode in the manual. Sorry for hitting the table. But then if you do that right to the mix in, it kind of sounds like you get a little crunchiness, kind of like you do when you tune the tune all the way down on these guys and get a little crunch. Anyway, little side note. So where was I? Sending the Chaos through an attenuator to the CV in of the bass module, and I'm going to send noise directly to bass just for let's get a little sound in the background. Excuse me with all the sniffling and stuff. Alright, so now I'm going to clock the LFO real quick. 125 and modify it with 4. A lot of stuff on 4 over here. Got the Chaos on 4. I got the LFO modified by 4, and I have the kick on 4. They're not really interacting with each other, which is kind of cool. I like that when I can find stuff that can connect to the clock dividers and not really mess with each other too much, which is usually going to be a lot of inputs if you run it out to inputs, except for the trigs, because the trigs can send also. Okay, and now I would like to stop hitting the table with my hands and run the LFO through the inverter, and I'm going to run that out to, let's see, I think I'm actually just going to send that to warp, and then I'm going to send the direct signal to shape so that they're kind of going against each other. Alright, that's fun. And so utilizing the inverter, and I also would like to, because in another video I've talked about the data pin, I'm going to connect the ground to the input of this VCA. I'm going to send it out to the data pin, and I'm going to trigger this VCA, or open it up with, yeah, may as well just use the LFO as well. How about we use the inverted LFO just for fun, since it's right there. Already getting a little change. So every time that hits it, it should be just sending something different to it, and so with the LFO is changing, just kind of does, I don't know, gives a little variation. And makes it a little less predictable. Let's see. I've also talked about in the last video sending things out to a looper, which I have right here, and sending out to 5, and then I'll send that back into. Let's just send it. In the last video, I sent it to this. So I'm gonna keep messing with the bass and see how much more I can do the bass. Alright, so I have the 1-bit Chaos direct going through a looper, being sent to the filter of the bass. Now I'm going to record that. Now I'm going to play that back. I'm going to record a little more. Just chop it up and just keep sending random Chaos CV to the looper and stack that up. See if that does anything. This isn't very dynamic. Let me take it off. Well, no, let me turn off the looper. So this is without the looper. It's very subtle. So this is just the 1-bit Chaos. Now with the looper. Just kind of makes it a little more choppy. Alright. Anyway, it saved the CV. So I'm just going to do that, keep that there, and with this next idea, I would like to, let's see. So I got it on delay, so I just want to add a little delay here. And I want to create feedback, sending the delay through a switch, and it's going out, back to itself. And I would like this to be just trying to see if I can hear that delay a little bit better. It's not sending much out there. Sometimes you gotta find the tune of it, you know. That's a little touchy for me, I can't quite tell. It's all personal taste, but anyway, so I'm gonna send a little bit of feedback to itself. I'll use the LFO. Nope. I'm not gonna use the LFO. I'm gonna, maybe the kick. Kick envelope opens up, sends a little bit to the delay. Is that too subtle? So one was too intense, one is too subtle. Not that the volume of the module is going to affect how much the envelope opens up, but I just realized the kick's a little quiet. And yeah, so basically it's not doing anything, but it is fun to connect the delay to a switch and send it back to itself. Maybe if I add a little more. That works. Alright. Now let's try to get a little more feedback by connecting the CV of that switch to, you know what, I'm gonna do the square one more time. Speed it up a little bit. Okay. Hit or miss. Sometimes you can get a little bit of kind of a fun feedback situation there, but it's not really working out for me. How about one last try? I'm going to connect it to a Chaos module or output. That's kind of fun. Because it just adds another pulse and another sound source. So, okay, Shayas is giving me what I want. That's fun. That's cool. Shayas on that. And it's not getting too crazy. Sometimes it can get a little crazy, but luckily it's shutting everything down just before it gets kind of out of control. So I can turn that down a little bit so you don't need to hear it as much, but it is nice coloring in there. That's basically all I wanted to do, just see what I could remember. Ooh, yeah. And since the and you know, I could probably actually send that, since I have an extra attenuator, I could send yeah, I think, what if I send the Shayas through an attenuator to the CV? So then I can take that out if I ever want to too. Cool, that works. It's a little bit more quiet now, so I can turn up the delay a little bit maybe. Cool. It just depends on what you want. Thanks for following along with me. Today was a rough day, hard to get up. I just wanted to see what I could remember, just off the top of my head. So basically using switches, using attenuators for pulse converters, for pulses, and also using the 0.1 capacitor for a pulse converter is useful. Just wanted to kind of see what I could remember, which is a good amount, I guess. I'm gonna do one last thing just for fun because I haven't done this yet. I'm gonna run the bass. I'm gonna see if it actually does anything through a tube amp that I have a DI for, so it's running just through the tubes. And let's see if I'll use an attenuator too, just in case it is too loud. But I tried it the other day and it's way too quiet. So let's see if it's still too quiet. Sorry for hitting the table again. Jeez Louise. I guess when I'm hungover I can't lift my hands. Let's see. That doesn't do anything. Alright, let's turn it all the way down. Oh, it's very quiet. Alright. Still very quiet. So if I go directly out from that to the mix in. Alright, well, that was just me trying to run a tube amp. It's an idea, another thing, but it's way too quiet. So let's see if I can. Okay. Well, that is that. Let's bring it back up. And I'm going to say goodbye. That was just me trying it. Little dud at the end, but I hope you all are well. I hope this was a refresher for you as well. Maybe if you want to see more in depth how I do some of these things, you can go back and check out the other videos. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. In the future, I promise I'm going to talk more about the Octatrack and probably start clocking some stuff with it and sending arpeggios to the bass from the MIDI side here, and I'm going to definitely utilize the key tracking portamento feature. But yeah, that's about all I got right now. Really appreciate you tuning in. If it felt like this was just kind of the same old same, hope you got something out of it. Yeah, thank you again. Check out that Mad Pin little short video I put out too. It's kind of cool. That stereo stuff worked out pretty fun. But yeah, happy day, happy Ash Wednesday, I guess, if that's something you do. And take care. Alright, next time I'm gonna work on how the heck do I clock this thing without Euro rack. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna mess with it. Until then, take care. Appreciate you.